Like, I can't even put it on my knees.
Everybody does it.
I'm just.
Way to get rid of them.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's okay.
Are you good? Recording? Okay,
Yep.
great. The time is 5:02. We'll call the session to order and start with roll call.
Farmville. Yeah.
Emily Cunningham present.
Rachel Lee Pate present.
Excellent. Any public comment?
Nope.
Okay, we'll start with the celebrations and recognitions.
Sorry to disappoint without a fancy celebration slideshow. You'll just have to deal with looking at this as well. We just have a few things we want to celebrate today. There's a lot to celebrate. We're going to highlight a few. We have been in the midst of field days and end of year activities, senior signing ceremonies, and senior walks. I hope you're following us on social media. We can keep up with all of those things. I'm happy to report that we've done 4 award ceremonies in the last 24 hours on their secondary campus, giving definitely hundreds, maybe more than 1,000 awards in the last day. I have another one tonight, so I'll skip out of here a little bit early because our 8th grade award ceremony is a little different and extra special in the evening time. So it's at 6 o'clock over in the gym today. And the other celebration I'll give on behalf of the secondary team and President Louis Whitlark is as of this week, prior to our own Rapoport Meyer High School graduation on Friday, we've had 4 students graduate with their associate's degree from Atlanta Community College, earning 62 college credit hours before they graduate. I'll name them for you: Alexia Escobedo, Natalie Garcia, Alyssa Magana, and Lillian Carney. We're proud of these 4 students. In addition to those 4, for our first time ever, we had a student graduate from a separate graduation ceremony at MCC by becoming a paramedic. Joshua Rocha is certified clinical medical technician and also did some paramedic courses through there. Was able to participate in their graduation ceremony and was a keynote speaker. Meyer High School senior. So proud of those students and the things that they achieved. Looking forward to seeing as many of you as able on Friday night as we celebrate all 62.
Incredible.
Biggest class ever.
I know. So we have also had award ceremonies the last 2 days. We've done secondary, fourth, and all of pre-K through first today. So lots of students celebrated. And graduation wise, I wanted to share, we've had 3 staff members have a graduation within the last week. Lindsay Carney graduated with her master's. First associate's degree and both graduated high school. Lindsay just got her master's degree, which is incredible and amazing, while she's teaching pre-K, while she's got a graduating senior, and while she's a foster mom. How she does all the things, I don't know, but she does it. It's great. Also, 2 of our dyslexia teachers, long-term Rapoport teachers, Miss Slow and Miss Ivy. You guys saw Miss Slow a couple of months ago. But they both graduated last Friday from a CELT training, which is a 2-year intensive dyslexia training, and they are now dyslexia therapists. So incredible. They graduated on Friday at the Midway building. Dr. Page, Miss T, and I, and Miss Fuller all got to go and celebrate them. They were the only 2 people outside of a handful of Midway people that went through this 2-year training. So super proud of them. The last thing, which I say with a lot of sadness, and I've already cried a lot of tears, so I'm not gonna cry anymore tonight. You may have seen on social media, but Dr. Page has been offered and has accepted the principal position at Kendrick Elementary in Waco ISD. And while we are ecstatic, so excited, it is incredibly difficult to let one of our own go. And yet we're so excited what's next for her and what she's going to bring to Waco ISD. So that comes with a lot of sadness on my part, but my word for it is beautiful, because and it's beautiful. So you'll probably see it on social media. Waco ISD announced it today. Her sweet little picture went out. And so we are so and the work that she's going to do. So we sent her with all of our love. So I said it's a celebration. It's also like.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
But
Beautiful in the best sense of the word. We also have a couple other things I just want to pull out and highlight. If you have not walked around or driven around the Decker Johnson building and seen the boards that we put up. So I want to give a shout out to Masonic, who we called and said, hey, would you come back and help us? And they brought a guy and two guys and a lift for 2 solid days and came out. Not only did they take off the old boards, but they like reinforced and put new 2x4s up so these boards would last a long time, and then installed the new boards that were designed from 5th grade all the way through 12th grade, and then painted and finished. And they have really great messages. The one on the Garrison side is a continuous mural. So if you look, it goes like board to board to board to board, and then around the other side are individual messages, but they're really beautiful. And so that kind of redoes that kind of floor level, just putting some love back on the building. Again, designed by the students and installed by Masonic. We're really grateful for them. Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up. Over 1,000 square feet of painted beautification to that building. And in addition to Masonic's donation of helping us get that up, which was really the reason we stopped this project years ago, is it just became
We couldn't install.
hassle and safety issue to get things secured to the building properly. And they made that go, I mean, just.
It was easy for us.
Perfectly, and did it so well. We also, I just highlight, I gave the celebration several months ago when we secured the funding, or received funding from City Center Waco, who helped pay for all of the materials for the project. And was ready to help us secure a lift if we needed one, but Masonic was able to donate that. So 2 community partners who worked with Rapoport. And in addition to students, 5th through 12 doing the painting, was also here on art for all night, where we had people across our whole district. So parents and families and students were able to add their designs to the board. And then we had several families who asked to take a board home and painted them as a family and put them up on the wall or on the building. And so we have just so many people represented in this project. And it really just exemplifies who we are, how we are meant to, better the community, that leave the community better than we found it, and involve so many different people. And we're grateful for the support that both City Center Waco and their board provided to us, as well as Masonic. Thank you for saying that to me.
Yeah, that's really great. The other 2 things I'll just pull out on your calendar at the end of this week. You guys already have the announcement for graduation. If you want to see a little sample of the program, y'all, we are so big. We are full size, and we have an opening in the middle of it. So, because this is how fancy we are now, but also just, we have to have our own legend because our kids do so much stuff. So, I will also say there's 20 plus Rapoport residents, Raven residents. So these are kiddos that have been with us longer than 10 years, almost their entire school journey. So you'll see the little bird by all of their names, but I'll pass this around so you can see it. But if you come, you can have your very own if you come on Friday, but it's at 6 o'clock here at the convention center. Also, I'll start it over this way. Also on the 21st, the YMCA is coming back out to our grounds right here and having the end of the year celebration. So they bring prizes, they bring giveaways, they bring pizza, they bring community partners, they do all sorts of stuff, bounce houses and all sorts of things. So come out and have fun, bring people if you want to bring them, but that's right here on our campus on Thursday. And then on Friday, for you board members at noon, we're going to do our district-wide kind of celebration send-off. And so it's come and go, but it starts at noon. We've got burgers and fixins and chips. And at 12:30, we're going to celebrate our retirement. So one of our food service ladies, Miss Deb, has been here for a decade, longer than that. And so she is retiring. So we're going to celebrate her. And then we're also going to celebrate the district staff of the year and the district teacher of the year. So we're going to unveil those at 12:30 on Friday. So if you want a burger and chips, come on out. If you want to just come out and help celebrate them, that would be great too. Yeah, so just make sure you have those things on your calendar. So Thursday, Friday, and Friday for the graduation as well.
And if you want to sit on the stage, you'd need to be there at 5:30. Is that correct?
Yep, 5:30. If you haven't already RSVP'd, it's not a big deal. Even if you just text me the day of, we just want to make sure you have a chair. So that's the only reason you have to tell us ahead. Yay, great, perfect. So just let us know if you want to come. If you don't want to sit up on the stage, that's fine too. Just let us know. Yeah. Okay. I'll write it down. I'm ready. Ready to celebrate.
I think you really need to know. In your signing ceremony last Wednesday, We celebrated all the things that students are going to do, including scholarships they won, including 17 that were won that are the Rapoport Academy Scholarship that you helped make happen as our board. 17 students applied and were awarded $1,000 scholarship. We gave $17,000 to students to help them go on to college. Thank you so much. It was great response from students. We're always trying to encourage more and more and more students to apply. And we're thankful for 17 students who did. Thank you on their behalf for providing those funds to make sure that they have a little bit more. Every little bit goes towards this really important journey. We'll be announcing those at graduation. You'll be able to hear those students.
So thanks to you guys for that commitment.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, y'all.
Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda items. Anything that needs to be pulled? I think it's all there.
I saw there. I figured you might have some questions about some of those expenditure requests because some of them are referenced in the closed session agenda item. So we tried to put narratives in there so that they made sense, but some of them are required expenses because of some of the findings and actions that you'll hear about in the closed session.
The summer school funding, has that already been part of the budget? Was that a new add?
It is a new add to the budget. Traditionally, it was done through salary savings and sweeps at the end of the year. That's how we anticipate being able to fund it again this year. YYY has done the analysis on all of these, and in their analysis has determined that these are feasible within our structure.
Will we go back into open session after the closed session? I think we'll have to, won't we?
We have to go into close.
So can we just move the consent agenda to the end of the meeting?
We absolutely could if that works for you guys. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, because again, some of those are directly related to the DDA findings.
Shifting to the parent representative. Did you have anything? Okay.
I was just gonna say, yeah. So I will say it's been really great having you and having you out with the parents and with the families around there. Kristen Cook has accepted the spot moving into starting in June. So we followed our board approved way that we kind of go out and recruit parent representative. And so she volunteered and I've answered some of her questions. So it's been really neat because she's actually tried to step into that role, but we've always had multiple people interested and she just hasn't won the draw of the hat several times. And so I was really excited for her to say, yeah, I'm still really interested. I would still really love to be a part of what we're doing. I'm still really committed to Rapoport Academy. So she'll be stepping in June with big shoes to fill, but she'll be stepping in June. So you guys will meet her then.
So benefited from having you on the board, Mr. Vera. Thank you very much.
I meet with a lot of new friends.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Rumsey, do you have anything as faculty representative? And so we will shift to the board committee reports. Dr. Newman and I met as part of the finance meeting. And
Really to start thinking about things.
yes, to kind of see where we're at and look at long-term projections. I think that I'm gonna pass that off until we're ready to talk specifics about
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think everything falls under that long-term. I'm sorry to be so vague, but I want to package it in its entirety
Yeah.
at the right time.
I would just say, I mean, to talk about long term, like the things we're starting to think about with the finance committee, just for the rest of the board, is what things can we do to make sure that we're fiscally stable for years to come? What things can we put in place? And so we've started kind of really bringing out some ideas of what YYY has done, ideas that they've thought about, what things we might need to look at, what benchmarking we might need to look at. So the finance committee will work through all those over time and then bring them to the board as they're ready for the board to review those. But it's really about being very strategic about what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Yeah, especially in terms of revenue generation.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to district improvement
We had some scheduling stuff.
Yeah. It is me.
and facilities.
We had some scheduling stuff to do. However, we are actually moving our next meeting as well to June the 4th. Well, we will cover April, May.
I did get a really exciting thing today. I'm going to report on behalf of the facilities committee.
Please do.
We got the official test wire for ACH reimbursement from the city of Waco for part of the expenses. Yeah, let me do it. So The max, it will be at the max. The max is 50,000, but they're gonna reimburse us back for 50,000 of that, which covers the rest of the chandelier. It gives us the ability to do the history wall. We've got considerable cost savings for those, so that's gonna be very feasible within that. We'll bring all that to the board. But then it also will let the board make some other considerations for things like a floor cleaner that we didn't anticipate when we first got it. So we should be able to use that money. It's suggested that that money goes back into the gym for maintenance and care of the gym. But anyway,
I was just gonna
that
say,
just happened, so I was really
Well-
excited.
for the discussion.
Yeah, but we got the test wire, so it's coming. That was really exciting.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move to the report from superintendent.
yes. Okay, so last time I gave the board just kind of a quick update on teacher incentive allotment. Or maybe even the meeting before that, that we have been approved again. And I've had a couple of questions, I think, from before, and just as people have heard about it, there were questions about like what certified and not certified means now. And so, what I thought I'd do for my report to you guys is just take a second and walk through a couple of things. So in your drive, there is, you can see it up here, there's a teacher incentive allotment folder. And so Angie and I kind of went through and thought about what are the things that, if you're not living and working in teacher incentive allotment every day, that you might want to know. So there's a couple of things. One, some schools use what's called pre and post test for teachers to identify student growth. There's another version that's called student learning outcomes, and that's what we use here. We felt like student learning outcomes would let more teachers be eligible easier, because not every content, every class has a pre-test and a post-test that you can give from an outside agency. So we went with student learning outcomes. TEA is actually redoing the student learning outcome framework. And so we have a lot of videos and trainings that we have to do for this next year as we kind of move forward. But with the student learning outcomes, there's a little bit of objectivity, subjectivity, right? Like some things are easily measured and some things are more like, I think. And so I just thought I would share just a little bit, like the growth correlation and the data check. So 2 of those file documents that are in there. This is how we kind of check to see how we're doing. And so they're looking at where is student growth rated, where is it in relation to the teacher's evaluation. So the other part of teacher incentive allotment is a teacher's evaluation score. So on the evaluation side, we calibrate with our evaluators. So we do it as a district to make sure that there's not, one rater that's rating someone really high and one that's rating someone really low. So we calibrate as a district every year. We do walkthroughs together as a district. We just do checks and balances across the district. We have conversations about those. We do mid-year skew analysis. So we look at walkthroughs. So the early walkthroughs that evaluators do for teachers, we kind of watch those and monitor those. And then when we actually do evaluations, we look at skew, which is one of the things we call it. We look to see if there's anybody that's like really, really high or really, really low. Then you compare that with the student learning outcomes, which is the student growth. And then they run a correlation. So essentially what you would think is a student with a really high evaluation, meaning I think they're a really great teacher based on this rubric, should have pretty high student growth. If they're a really effective teacher, their students should be really growing. You would think the inverse is also likely. And if you have opposites happening, it's going to cause skew. So we look at that internally, but then when we submit our data, that's one of the other ones that I dropped in there for you. So the validation report, there's 2 versions of it. So we submit our data to TEA, which actually goes to Texas Tech, to do the analysis. So they do the analysis statewide. So when they actually look at their analysis, that is one of the things they're looking at. They're looking at our state scores. They're looking at our student learning outcomes. They're looking at our T-test scores, which is our evaluation. And that's why it's so exciting whenever we come back and we're like, yay, we validated, right? That's the big celebration, is an outside agency looked at all of our data and said, yes, it lines up well. We don't think there's anything too crazy. It's not 100%. There's a little bit of wiggle room that you can have in there. But for 2 years now, we have validated. That means our things are in line. It means the way that we're tracking our systems is looking good for an outside agency. So our goal is as many teachers qualify as possible for teacher incentive allotment, because that's money straight from the state into a teacher's pocket. And we want it to be as valid as possible, because it doesn't do any good for us to submit a bunch of people in and it not validate, because then nobody gets any of those funds. So we work really hard to make sure that our evaluations are aligned, and that they're calibrated. We work really hard to make sure our student learning outcomes are rigorous and that they line up with student outcomes. And then we look at our SKU together on both sides of it. So this was one of the reasons why we moved to starting next year. And just in case you wanted to see, like, this is our teacher incentive allotment handbook. So this is something we share with all of our staff. And so if you want to know how we calculate it, if you want to know where the money gets distributed, what it looks like, so a teacher's outcomes earn money for the district. The district then allocates that money out to the teacher. Now, when we initially created this program here at Rapoport Academy, the teachers all said, we're not the only ones that make these outcomes possible. Our teaching assistants absolutely play a role in our student outcomes. So as a district, 10% goes to the district campus, 90% goes to the teacher and the teaching assistant. The way that we've allocated it out is 5% of that 90 goes to the teaching assistant that directly impacts that teacher. So it's not that a high school teacher gets an elementary teacher's piece of it, but if you have a TA that's helping in 4th grade and a teacher in 4th grade has earned the teacher incentive allotment, then that TA will get some of that money that was earned because that TA directly helps the teacher. So all that information is in this TIA handbook. So one of the big things that we had that I'd let you guys know is we shifted from only a fully certified teacher is eligible to now, starting next year, the data collection for next year, teachers who are in certification programs will be able to get more money, and teachers who are not certified but are highly effective will still be able to get some of these funds. Our goal is still certified teachers in the classroom. That is what we want, highly effective certified teachers in the classroom. And so we've built this structure so that all highly effective teachers can get some money. And as you move through the system, you can get more and more. Now, also in here is how you move up. So say maybe this next year, there's 4 levels. Maybe you just designate at the first level. There's a way for the next year for you to designate at a higher level and a higher level if you continue to grow both in your evaluation and in your student outcomes. Now, we throw a lot of letters around here. This is different than the teacher retention allotment. So I will just say, I'll give you a little summary for both. So the teacher incentive allotment is teachers who are directly teaching students. It could be small, it could be inclusion, meaning I have a group of kids that I case manage. They're in another person's classroom, but I'm going in and providing them support. It could be that, or it could be like a regular classroom teacher like you think about. So this is teacher incentive allotment. High evaluation, high student outcomes equals more money. The state also gave a TRA, the teacher retention allotment, and that is just straight service. If you are coded as a teacher, meaning you are responsible, essentially you're responsible for grades. If you are grading a kid or a group of kids, then you are eligible for the teacher retention allotment. If you've been completed 4 years, in your 4th year, you get it. And then completed 5 years, then you get another chunk of it. So it's 4,000 and then 8,000. So all teachers, in our mind, we wanted all teachers eligible for both. All teachers are eligible for both because we do student learning outcomes. You just have to have earned teacher incentive allotment by student outcomes and your evaluation. Teacher retention allotment you get from years of service. Both of those funnel straight from the state. Now, for the board's consideration, both of those mean a cash flow issue, right? The teacher retention allotment is going to get better and better because we will have already gotten an allocation. They'll maintain that. And it's only if we have a few new teachers or a few returning teachers, right, that may adjust on that. So it's a smaller adjustment because we have to wait till we submit our data in the middle of the year. And they're like, oh, you got 10 more teachers that got credit. So we're going to give you this extra money. Now, the teacher incentive allotment, this one, we pay it out in May, June, and August, and they pay us back in October. So this summer, we'll pay out $250,000 straight into teachers and staff. and then we will get 250,000 back in October. On the books, it's not a big deal because because we can book that they owe us money. So on the books, it's fine. But in the bank, we have to give the money out and the money doesn't come back in until October. So cash flow teacher incentive allotment makes it a little bit hard for small schools, but we get the money back. So it's just a short-term cash flow. The problem we have is our fiscal year ends in between those two payments. So that is one of the reasons why moving forward, we have to make sure that we have enough cash on hand that we can take that hit and still hit our days of service at the end of the fiscal year. Then we'll get paid back. So it's a little bit of kind of swapping on the books for that. So anyway, these are two new, relatively new things for us. A couple of years is all that we've had them. They can get really confusing because it's only one letter difference, TIA, TRA. I think the big thing for us is we wanted to make sure that every teacher who has kids is eligible for these funds. Now, there are a few kind of weird situations where maybe a teacher is responsible for students, but they don't actually grade them. Or maybe they're a long-term sub, meaning a teacher's out on maternity leave and they've got kids for a while, or they've got them for 3 months because somebody left, but they're not the official, we call it an 087. They are not by TEA standards, the teacher of record in the classroom, meaning they're not grading the kids or they're not that teacher, then they wouldn't be eligible for, it depends on which one you're talking about. Teacher incentive allotment, they would have had to have the students, they would have had to grade them, be able to show growth. So they wouldn't be eligible for that potentially. And teacher retention allotment, they have to be an 087, meaning a teacher in the classroom responsible for students. We don't have very many of those. Most of the ones that we did have or do have, we've shifted to like a coordinator title. And so they'd be on the coordinator pay band. So we've tried to adjust those in different ways. So there's a couple of positions that we have where they're a long-term sub, they're not the regular teacher in the classroom, so they wouldn't be eligible for one or the other. Or maybe they came as a teacher in February. Well, you haven't been here long enough to have collected data to be able to be eligible for the teacher incentive allotment. So those are two different things. Those are really, really good for us. Unfortunately or fortunately, almost every school in our region is doing the same thing. So, you know, what is it? The rising tide floats all boats, right? So we've all kind of gone up from that. But we give a large chunk of that money right into the pockets of the teachers, and we're going to keep doing that. The other thing is we chose to do 25% in May and then 75% in August. And that does help people stay because they're like, well, if I left, I'd only get 25%, but if I stay, then I get 70, I get all of that money that I'm eligible for. And so we kind of ask folks to stay and come back with us the next year to get that money. If for some reason they don't come back, that money still comes to the district and it's distributed amongst the people on that campus that participated in this program. So you already did some work, you get a little extra. Got questions about TIA or TRA? I know there's a little confusion. There's confusion in the world about it, but I just want to make sure you guys felt comfortable if people ask you about it, that you can kind of explain. All teachers are eligible for both unless there's like a weird situation. If they're a long-term substitute or if they're not the one responsible for actually grading the students in the classroom, maybe they're a support person for that. But our goal is to try to get everybody that's eligible access to these funds. Any questions? Okay. That's my report for this month anyway.
Thank you.
We do not have an athletic update. We're going to push that to July. Some traveling, so he's going to come in July and give his update. But we do have a technology update. I just jumped ahead. No, that's perfect. Are you? I don't think it's present with remote, but okay. I'll be Rana.
Right, so I think it was a position, this past year, I learned with the slows and goes needed to be this position. The slow technology that kind of meets service level organization is trying to figure out where's our downtime pads and trying to figure out budget wise why we're spending this and what.
By the way, this is Chris Brownlee. If you didn't know, he is our director of IT information technology / instructional technology. He's helping out on both sides of that. He's been with us now, how many years? 4? Yeah, 4 years. came in with the intention of moving into the director role as Dean Elliott was planning on retiring. So he has stepped into that role and done an absolute phenomenal job. So now you can go.
So just basically step back, I like realize like what we're doing and why we're doing this. And so we're looking at it and learning one of our slows. It's like one of the things about learning, being tech here first was there was a lot of grumbling or slowness with it, reliability. And so the program called T-Rates, we're able to upgrade infrastructure without the capital of. So for example, upgrading of cabling here in Gilman's would have cost us $60,000. That E-rate is only cost us $6,000. And so we're able to do that and be able to grow with technology. Things are one-to-one, tied to students, using laptops, but streaming, that kind of stuff like that. So we've upgraded all that. And also with E-rates, started looking at another company that with, our Wi-Fi was dropping. So looking at finding out the company that we use our Wi-Fi through firewall through was costing us almost $45,000. And so going from a annual subscription like that to owner subscription with E-rates with going from Wi-Fi and through OpenSense, we're saving us about $45,000. Wow. And so, and also will upgrade with new technology and provide us where the next 5-10 years, we're actually up to date with everything. 7, everything is forward, a lot of people from AI, so that it's network. So you kind of like have to step forward and it's the bandwidth and things like that. So we're cabling, we're going to be upgrading all access points and all our switches and access. So here in this building, there's one closet where you have some things going here and another closet. So we're unifying the E-rates and so one of the big things I wanted to look at this year was trying to save money. And so another one was we're finding out, some phones work, some phones don't. And so started looking at it and it would cost us almost $17,000 to upgrade all phones. And so started looking into it like, okay, what can we do if not this huge capital, So talking to the company, identifying company technologies where they will provide us a service and all we do is pay out for the 12 years for the phones. So we end up saving on $600 a month. Like almost and getting phones without doing the huge expenditure. And so we will be doing that project here coming week. And then with E-rates, so that's a little bit there. That E-rates, we're still waiting on funding for that. So we're probably looking at a fall timeline for that and things getting great. Because when we upgrade the infrastructure, we upgrade everything down. So we can do the timelines where it's here on campus and we're not like getting like structural stuff. So also looking at things and figuring out like one of the favorite things have, and 4 aging servers. Start looking at those and those looking at 16,000. And so figure out what each server did, why does it have them, and look at our Microsoft agreement. With our Microsoft agreement, one by evening, which really didn't cover much. And we were able to upgrade to P3 and save 4,000 a year by upgrading and saving by not paying the servers because we start transitioning everything to the cloud. So instead of paying those servers, we can start using Microsoft services. So one of the things we did was rolled out new devices to staff. And so we're able to adhere to TA laws where you have to become control on this stuff. That's very law now. And so I'm able to use a service called Portal where I can push out good apps to staff now and they can download them without having to get to it to staff. So they can do it right. And with field education with students, We upgraded that to more air one from the Gym 9. You can do like more protection and stuff like that. We ended up saving money on that. Well, getting that license, get less than one of that.
So I think one of the things, and I want to add in before you jump. So one of the things that Chris has really tried to focus on is, yes, cost savings, but end user service, meaning what does it feel like for the end user? Are they getting quality, updated devices that work? Is it a good uptime? Does the system work? Also, life cycle management. So not having devices that are 10 years old or having to replace every 1 year, like where stuff is and what does it look like? And also looking at cost savings with a stability piece to it. And so where we're not looking at like, okay, we're going to spend 300,000 this year, and then in 2 years, we're going to, nothing, and then 300,000 the next year. Instead, trying to build in systems that say, okay, this is what it's going to look like. This is a steady expense every year. And this is kind of the rolling expense, like device updates or hardware updates or things like that. Like this is just kind of a more steady, a more proactive, less reactive, less big ebbs and flows, right, on the funding for that. And so that's everything from software services that we have to district-wide access that we have to the hardware and software and wires going through the buildings, computers, like everything else. It's just trying to make sure that we've got a high-quality product that works all the time, that's in a more stable funding need as we move forward.
Well, the next one we talked about that where we have one plus, where we can be, you said amazing more play. We can see like how much money we spend in charge, how much money do we spend in this. So that way we can kind of budget that to next year going like, okay, we spent this much, spend this, so we can allocate one here or take here and get a better look at the budget. And facilities can use it well where they can do the maintenance where it's like, okay, so Shannon, like what was like we're like your AC units where you can do, tag AC unit and you can say like we spent this much money on this AC unit here. Where you can see like, okay, we might need to replace the AC unit, but we spent so much money on maintenance. What is it actually? So facilities can use it. Definitely can use it as well for sack punches. Transportation can use it as well for van, buses, requests and things like that. So it's like one house model for you to go to make requests. Ticketing requests, then it's just one place. So that way it's like, you're not having to here, you're not having to look here. It's just all.
It also is communication out to the customer, right?
So, private communication. You can also see like, okay, is this one device in trouble? And we can see like, okay, do we need to replace this? Is this TV going out? We're seeing 5 tickets for this TV issue. And so you can kind of get a better idea and a better outcome of your assets.
So this is actually an expenditure item number 5. If you look at the consent agenda item, it's that one, number 5. The cool thing is when we started really digging into the board's strategic initiative related to lifecycle management for facilities and IT, this is one of the things that kept coming up is we've got kind of a disjointed asset management system that doesn't really allow us to run reports. It doesn't allow us to run cost analysis. It doesn't allow us to build in preventative maintenance into that system. And then they found this one and they showed it to me and I got really jazzed watching the webinar and walking through that because it really does connect in all the different pieces that we would want and allows us to build in the model that the board had even talked about. So it kind of links strategic plan in with the initiatives that they have. And you guys had the quote in your thing. It's a relatively logical cost base for that. So.
But I was thinking about it, I just want to say, she's been selling for us. Very successful. Ellis or T, how much to different be able to create that partnership, but create that unity, like thank you all for working for us. And also going to y'all, I'm like, hey, I want to do this. Do things and see where my goal is and see.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. Thank you.
Outstanding.
Do you have any questions for him on IT stuff, system structures? You don't get to walk away yet. Or anything about the expense that's on the consent agenda item as well, the one-to-one.
Question, but there's so few things in the world that are not getting more and more expensive. So to be able to find savings throughout and maintain quality infrastructure, students to learn, and it's really impressive, and that impact is felt everywhere in the industry.
Yeah, if y'all recall the faculty survey from this spring, and IT scored amongst the highest in terms of faculty satisfaction with Chris's program, so they feel it
Rightfully
too.
so.
Thank you
Rightfully
so
so.
much.
Good job. Thanks, brother.
Okay, the time is, or I'll entertain a motion to move into closed session. Or
Okay, you gonna remake the motion? Yeah,
Oh,
I think you gonna remake the motion.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We'll move into closed session at 5:43.
Yes, you can. Shoot, they can.
6:20, back in open session.
All right, we'll revisit item 2, the consent agenda. Any questions or motion?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. And I just thank y'all for your feedback for the superintendent evaluation rubric. I'll send that to you. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes. Great meeting. Thanks y'all. so
21,
much.
6:21?
6:21.
no joke. I'm down.
I wanted to stay longer.